listeners, and welcome to another episode of Get Smartr, an LC podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about digital transformation. We're going to talk about exploring the significance of focusing on digital manufacturing trends that can deliver tangible business benefits, because Industry 4.0 can be really complex and overwhelming. So we're gonna dive into what some of the best practices are. We're gonna make this something that y'all might want to ask more about or feel like you can actually attain, that you can actually go ahead and forge a path forward into digital manufacturing. My guest today is Limuel Sagadraca. He is the Vice President of the Reliability Consulting Group here at LCE. He's a seasoned senior management professional. He's got over 25 years of manufacturing experience. Limuel is also an industry thought leader on enterprise application, supply chain optimization, and manufacturing integration. He's led many Industry 4.0 digital transformation initiatives and helped organizations create their IoT strategy, leading transformation assessments, and helping them create their roadmaps. So, Limuel, thank you so much for joining me today on Get Smartr. How are you?
Good. How are you, Tara? And thank you for letting me join.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm great, and I'm really excited about our topic today because it does seem to be on top of everyone's mind. It's on top of the Google searches on how to make this transition into digital manufacturing, but do it the right way and avoid some of the pitfalls that are commonly encountered. As we know, and has been published out there, 7 out of 10 digital transformation efforts do not get started off on the right foot and end up not realizing the benefits that they wanted from the technology. So I want to dig into a little bit of that and talk about that strategy. Why do those flashy trends, the promise of Industry 4.0 as your saving technologies, why do those trends often fail to deliver sustainable business results?
One has to keep in mind whether this technology or flashy trend addresses an internal business challenge, or does it fit within the company's digital strategy.
Mm-hmm.
If it does, then there's a strong possibility to deliver sustainable business results. If it does not, unfortunately, this is truly just a flashy trend, or someone seen it once and think they can be successful at it. So this technology will not have the foundation to succeed. Another aspect to consider is oftentimes a flashy trend is done as a pet project, only testing out the technology on a very small scale, addressing a particular need. We often see that in our consulting practice.
Mm-hmm.
If the technology is deployed in an area with limited payback, it becomes quite difficult to get a sponsor to grow that initiative or program. It doesn't say that you have to start big. You may start small, but focus
Right.
on an area of big impact, such as
Okay.
putting the flashy technology at a critical asset or process line, and see how the data or application will help mitigate downtime, increase throughput, mitigate health risk, etc. If you prove it in this critical area, then it is easier to expand that scope.
Those are the big hitters, right? Downtime,
Correct.
throughput, safety. That's what the leadership sponsors are going to be looking for in terms of the investment of the technology, right?
Absolutely. Two more aspects that I want to call out is utilizing technology that isn't meant for that purpose. We often see this. This often causes angst for the user community because rather than using the technology to enhance or making their work easier, it has a reverse effect instead. It makes it
Mm-hmm.
a lot more difficult. For example, using AR glasses instead of utilizing tablets. Eyeglasses may be the sexy or flashy way to show the technology, but does it make sense to use in a dirty area,
Right.
or is it needed? So those are the things to keep in mind. It may be easier to type on a tablet if comments are needed, or acknowledging a prompt. These are the things that you need to consider as far as technology. And the last thing that I want to add is, in my opinion, the main challenge for sustainable results is adoption by the users. This is
Mm.
really key. No
Mm-hmm.
matter how good that technology is, without the users using it religiously, one will not get the business results expected. Therefore, sustaining the initiative would eventually fail, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then partial data does not work either. So if everyone is not using it, you're only getting partial data. Everyone has to be using it to give the value of that technology.
Right, right. And I often hear some of our subject matter experts talk about the importance of change management and focusing on the people side of change during a transformation initiative or when you're trying to implement a new technology. Would you agree that that's core to getting that people adoption, that's getting the people using the technology?
Absolutely. The common challenge is people adoption of the technology for sure. People is always the key to success. Always consider the current skills of your people that will have direct use of that technology. Do they have the right skill sets? And if not, what training is needed prior to adoption? Have you included key users to help with the design or adoption of the technology? If not, please do so because they become the champions of that initiative. One of the key things that we try to do in our consulting practice is create champions because the champions are the ones that will be talking to their peers and really driving that technology's use and to also expand the use of that technology across the plant or across the organization.
Right, right. So it's all about and that has to be done before, right? That's part of the planning for
Absolutely.
the initiative. So, you stated that that the when you're trying to implement a new technology or start a project that you need to have it have a important business impact. Doesn't have to be a big implementation, but has to have big impact. So think about that first. Then you stated that you need to actually consider the technology and the feasibility of the different aspects of the technology that you're going to implement. Make sure it fits your operation, and make sure your operation is ready. So one thing you mentioned was if different people are using it, or if not everyone is using it, then there could be differing data entries, and then the data is not going to be good. So regardless of if you implemented the technology in the best way, but then when you're using it, you're not getting the data accuracy, well, that's a problem too. So you need to make sure that your business processes are stable before you put that technology on the top, and that technology is feasible for your organization. And then the training, I do want to talk a little bit more about the people side, because I think you mentioned that that's a really common challenge and common mistake that folks make when they're adopting smart manufacturing trends. How do you think these challenges can or overlooking these challenges can lead to ineffective implementation? So let's say you forget one of those elements. What do you think is really the final straw in terms of the biggest challenge that you must overcome
Okay.
in terms of implementation?
Sure. As we discussed earlier, adoption or acceptance of the people is key to
Mm-hmm.
the success, right? I think we agree to that. One
Mm-hmm.
has to remember technology is an enabler. So if you don't have that foundation correct, then it's putting technology on top of a bad process. So that
Right.
cannot happen. So again, technology is an enabler, not necessarily the solution. It can enforce good practices, but it will not solve bad practices, right? What I mean by that, in many cases, the technology provides information for the user to drive action. That is key. It is to provide contextualized data that is transformed into information at the fingertips of the user to use to increase quality, throughput, safety, etc.
Mm-hmm.
If it does depend on the technology, where and how it is implemented. So if you implement the technology wrongly, then it will not be used properly and you will not get the information that is needed to drive that action.
So that's really insightful. Thank you for wrapping that all together for me and for the listeners. Let's talk about some things that businesses can do to overcome these challenges and ensure successful adoption of the smart manufacturing initiatives that they want to employ. Can you talk about a few strategies that business can undertake?
Sure, not a few things, but Quite a lot of things
Quite
to
a lot of things.
consider.
There you go. All right. You hear that, listeners? Go ahead. Get your note taken out.
Yeah, but the first thing is before taking on a technology, determine a key business challenge to tackle, first and foremost. Once you have done that, then build a business value, an ROI. You have to talk about the impact of what you're trying to achieve with that technology. Then build a strong communication plan, which includes business issue, payback, timelines, and training. Everyone has to understand when they're going to get it, why they're getting it, and how they're going to get it, and how to use it. So all of that is part of that communication plan. Build a communication not just to management, but to the user community. This is key. Oftentimes you're selling to your management, but you're never selling to the people that are impacted by the technology. As we discussed earlier, it's the user community that makes it successful, not the other
Right.
way around, right?
Right.
So everyone needs to be in sync why the technology is needed and what it provides to everyone.
Hmm. Hmm.
The next thing is have a strong executive sponsor that will support the initiative and break down the barriers when necessary. What I mean by break down the barriers, oftentimes, if it's a truly transformation technology that you're trying to implement, everyone has to buy in. Without someone breaking the barriers of people saying that no, this is not going to work, and so on, someone needs to champion that initiative and really help them understand that this is a transformation project and this is how we're going to move forward,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Other things is involve the user community to design, deploy, and use that technology. And the key reason why you involve the users is they may have insights that we've never thought of some of the challenges that they're experiencing, and you need to solve that within the design before you deploy, right?
Absolutely. And being
Mm.
part of the solution, if their insights and their experience, is part of the solution and being respected, that's just going to encourage and motivate, the users to be active in the implementation and get
Absolutely.
proficient in the new technology.
Uh,
So those are really, I mean, that was 5 great points that we'll wrap back up to.
Let me add one more thing, Tara. Yeah, if you're unsure of what to do, this is a plug, but forgive me for that. Work with a consulting firm, right? That are technology agnostic. That is key. They have to be technology agnostic,
Right.
and it's a firm that focuses on addressing business needs and concerns. Because now you can really build that strategy together, pick the right technology to provide the solution, as well as to be able to sustain that initiative.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's finding an expert, that is, as you said, technology agnostic, but they can really look at your requirements and they know the solutions that are out there, so they can help you decide, unbiased party, help you decide and help you plan, having the experience of understanding what the different phases of digital transformation are and what success looks like. And helping guide you through that process is very important. There are some other things that life cycle, because we do this, this is something that we have experience in, and our consultants have helped organizations with, is also having a common system and platform for your processes and your training. That was one of the reasons why Lifecycle built the Smartr platform and uses it during transformations and digital transformation projects. So Lifecycle is a good choice. There are other consultants out there who are also very experienced and can help you, but encourage seeking that outside third party, not only to give you a fresh perspective, but also to speed your transformation, because they already know the pitfalls, right? So they can help you mitigate those during planning and save you some time and money.
Exactly.
So what let's switch a little bit from strategy and implementation to really talk about trends now. So what upcoming trends do you see making a significant impact on what we're calling smart manufacturing?
That's a loaded question, but the key one that everyone talks about is AI or
Mm,
artificial intelligence. No, it's no longer a trend. It is here to stay. That's my perspective.
mm,
AI is embedded in many technologies in all industries. In our commercial and federal customers, AI technologies are prevalent to enable and sustain operation and manufacturing programs, right?
mm,
These technologies do help optimize manufacturing operations and throughput. For example, AI is embedded in predictive or prescriptive technologies, in IoT platforms, in APM software, etc. These AI basically optimizes the information, again, to drive action to make
mhm.
sure that you stay within the channel of good quality, a good process, good throughput, and so on.
Right, saving time and mitigating risks.
Absolutely.
Um, so how can businesses prepare for, as you said, it's no longer a trend. It's here to stay.
Mm.
And to stay competitive, these advances should ultimately be adopted when organizations are ready. So how can they start to get ready?
It goes back to the people. It's upskilling your workforce,
Mhm,
right? So training your workforce to make sure they understand the technology because technology enhances their ways of working. It enforces workflows as we discussed. It increases safety. Therefore, having a workforce that is technology ready is key to current and future success. Have a person or group that has a focus on technology trends and figure out which technologies that are pertinent to optimizing the business. There
mhm.
are so many technologies that are out there. So you have to have a person or a group looking at those technologies to enhance your operations.
So like a community of practice, or focus group
Exactly.
that is aware of the different options there. And it's interesting too, right? That's a professional development opportunity right
Mhm.
there for some of your workforce that is interested in these new technologies or wants to get engaged. That could be an opportunity for them to lead that community of practice or be part of that community of practice and educate from within. Doesn't have to be external. Do know that some of the larger platforms out there are now including classes, courses, online, in person, to get people up to speed in digital acumen or data analytics, or just learning more about robotics or the technology itself.
Mhm.
So there are resources out there. We'll put some in the in our episode notes for our listeners out there, just listing a few resources that we know are out there in the market and have good quality. So, if we look at the governing bodies within our organization, I call them community of practice. How do you think businesses can stay ahead of the curve? I mean, it just seems like things are changing so fast, and one technology that was, brand new 3 months ago is old news now, and there's something else out there that we just have to, embrace to stay competitive. But really, how can we remain innovative and adaptable to stay up with these industry evolutions? What recommendations would you have?
Yeah, I'll encapsulate a few things that we discussed already. As you mentioned, current technology changes quickly, and new technologies are being introduced. So keeping up with industry trends is a must. Keep in mind, again, that technology is an enabler to address challenges such as safety, costs of goods sold, manufacturing effectiveness, and so on. This can give your company the competitive edge of first to market. Everyone's trying to get out to market as quickly as possible, right?
Hmm.
And then keep the cost of products sold down and meeting the demands of the market quickly and efficiently. These technologies can help enable those things. And then, as far as fostering a culture of continuous improvement and innovation, inclusion and awareness by creating an environment of collaboration and
Okay.
not being afraid to try new things. Oftentimes, people has a tendency to push away, not use new technology because they think it will damage or it will scare people. but you need to have a focus on technology to enhance the work of people. That is a key thing that you need to keep in mind. When people feel handcuffed or not being heard, it limits creativity and growth. So both in their careers, that has a direct effect on continuous improvement and
Mm-hmm.
innovation. So
Mm-hmm.
collaboration and not being afraid on trying new things is really key to the culture of the organization.
So lean in, listen, to your workforce, and be strong. Don't be brave. Be brave. Because, as you said, technology can enhance, performance and can enhance the already good work that you're doing. I do want to go back and review those strategies for our listeners that you mentioned about how businesses can overcome some of these challenges that we've talked about today. So, number one, determine a key business challenge to tackle. Identify those risks and gaps so that you have a good problem statement for your efforts to solve, and something that could get the attention of leadership so you can take full advantage of the value and the benefits of the technology you're trying. And then build a business case or a return on investment, an ROI case for the business value. That should hopefully get the twinkle in an executive sponsor's eye to champion the effort. So have a key sponsor, and then focus on the communication plan on the people side of what this technology implementation is going to involve. Talk about the business reasons for the change. Talk about how it's going to impact the people involved. Ask for their feedback. Involve them in the design, deployment, and the use of the technology. They may surprise you with their ideas of how it could be utilized or problems that it could solve, and that's a good thing. And then support the users that as they're implementing, but also give a sustainability in making sure that people are using the technology. So sustainment plan, adhere to them using the technology. Don't just let it run on inertia, right? So we have to
Exactly.
keep the focus on getting the benefits and using the technology and giving the technology a chance, right, to be able to deliver those benefits. So this has been really a fascinating conversation. We've covered a lot of ground, loaded questions, about trends and common pitfalls and those 5 strong things that people can do to avoid the pitfalls. Are there any thoughts or parting thoughts you would have for our listeners today, Limuel, who are thinking about, am I ready? I don't know. Is my organization ready for this? I know I want those benefits, but I'm not sure, if I'm ready. Or those folks who are ready. Yes, I'm jumping in. Do you have any advice for our listeners today on the next steps they should take?
Yeah, absolutely. Get involved with a lot of these technology conferences because you'll get introduced to so many technologies, but
Mm,
step back after and really look at those technologies on how you can implement these technologies within your organization and make sure it does provide a business impact. There's always these sexy things that you will see that seems that it is something that you can use, but then if you step back a little bit further, because it's not really going to work here. It's not really going to affect any of my organization. So always keep that in mind as you look at the different technologies. Get away from the sexy stuff. Usually, the sexy stuff are bleeding edge technology. I would recommend stepping back and use some proven technology that's pushing the edge, not the bleeding edge.
That's very good advice, Linwell. Thank you. Beware of too much flashy. Let's stay with, what is feasible, right? For your operation. And, as you can find a partner, right? If proving the business case is, a challenge, or if even assessing your digital readiness is a challenge, or if that your work management processes are not in a your planning and scheduling is not ready for you to take the next step to even use the data out of your CMMS to do any advanced technologies, there's help out there to be had, and there's lots of resources. So we'll share some resources with our listeners. And I just really appreciate you spending your time with me today, Limuel. This has been a lot of fun talking about technology and digital manufacturing. I mean, as you said, it's not a trend. There are trends, but digital manufacturing is here to stay. It's the way to make a difference and a step change in your operation.
Absolutely.
So thanks again, and I hope you'll come back and be a guest again on the Get Smartr podcast. And for all of you listeners, thanks for joining me. Next time, we'll be talking about other trends in manufacturing and industrial operations and some actionable things that you can do at different levels in the organization to make a difference. So until next time, stay smarter, people.
Thank you.